Brace yourselves because today we're revealing 10 surprising grocery items that will disappear before March 2025. You heard that right. Everyday essentials you rely on could vanish from store shelves in just over a year. These are items you'd never expect to be threatened, yet they're on the brink of disappearing. Why is this happening? Supply chain chaos, climate crises, and shocking insider predictions are converging to create a silent storm that may leave you unprepared. Imagine walking into your local grocery store only to find these staples wiped out. What will you do then? Don't wait to find out the hard way. Watch closely and take notes, because this isn't just a list, it's a warning. Before we start, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss critical updates about the changes happening right under our noses. Stay alert and let's get started. 1. Vanilla extract. I couldn't believe my eyes when I checked the shelves at my local grocery store. Vanilla extract, the rich aromatic elixir that transforms cakes, cookies, and even coffee into masterpieces, was missing. Or worse, rationed. The clerk explained, in hushed tones, that we're heading toward a vanilla wasteland. Prices have surged to horrific heights, making vanilla extract gram for gram more expensive than silver. Yes, silver! How could this happen, you ask? The devastating answer lies in a perfect storm of catastrophe. Madagascar, the heartbeat of vanilla production, was ravaged by two merciless cyclones, obliterating nearly 40% of its vanilla crops. This island nation, which delivers 80% of the world's supply, has been brought to its knees. Climate change has turned predictable weather patterns into wild cards, making future harvests look bleak. And as if that weren't enough, U.S. reserves suffered a shocking setback. 20% of the backup supply was destroyed after a sudden warehouse fire engulfed a New Jersey facility. It's like fate is conspiring against our baking bliss. Even the giants of the industry are crumbling. Major brands like McCormick are rationing supplies, leaving store limits at one lonely bottle per shopper. And I can't ignore the sneaky tricks happening in the background. Shrinkflation is here. The bottles are getting smaller, but the prices are soaring. Does anyone win here? Certainly not us. If you're anything like me, you're already plotting your escape from this vanilla nightmare. Grab pure vanilla bean paste while you can. It's concentrated and will stretch your supply. You could also get crafty with substitutes like maple syrup and bourbon to mimic the flavor. But let me warn you now, when March 2025 rolls around, I fear vanilla extract will go dark entirely. 2. Coffee shortages. I never thought I'd live to see the day when coffee would become a scarce luxury. But here we are, staring down the terrifying reality that one of the world's most beloved beverages is slipping through our fingers. Brazil, the coffee giant of the world, is grappling with its worst drought in 50 years. To put it into perspective, Arabica coffee production, that smooth, flavorful coffee so many of us can't live without, has plummeted by 35%. If that doesn't send shivers down your spine, consider this. A global container shortage has left millions of pounds of coffee stranded at ports, collecting dust instead of filling your cup. The effects are already showing on store shelves. Major brands, the ones we all trust like Lavazza, Peet's Coffee, and Starbucks Reserve, are facing drastic stock reductions of up to 60%. Can you imagine your local coffee shop without your favorite blend? This isn't just a quaint what-if scenario. It's becoming a chilling reality. What's worse, some stores are even imposing limits on purchases, only 2 bags per customer. That's right, your morning ritual of tossing back a hot, freshly brewed cup may soon be jeopardized. The worst part? Once these stocks are gone, there's no telling how long it will take to recover. And if you think freezing your beans is the answer, think again. Improper storage can ruin the flavor of this already dwindling resource. Experts say your best bet is to store coffee beans in airtight containers, away from heat and light. But even following every storage recommendation won't change the fact that supply is shrinking by the day. If you're like me, this news is terrifying. Coffee isn't just a drink to me, it's a lifeline. A necessary fuel to make it through the grind, no pun intended, of everyday life. Knowing that I might wake up one morning and not have my usual fix feels like a horror story too real to ignore. My advice? Stock up now. Find your favorite blends and secure them like your life depends on it, because for those of us who can't function without coffee, it kind of does. 3. Organic egg shortages. If you're a fan of organic eggs like me, brace yourself. This may send chills down your spine. Organic eggs are quickly disappearing from shelves, and the situation has already reached critical levels in some regions. Can you imagine showing up at your local grocery store only to find empty shelves where those beautiful brown organic egg cartons once sat? It's not just a bad dream. This is the reality we're living in right now, and it's going to get worse. Thanks to extreme cold weather and the jaw-dropping rise in prices of organic feed, deliveries of organic eggs have seen a whopping 70% drop in some stores. 70%! That's not a small dent. It's practically a collapse. And while shortages are bad enough, brace yourself for the price spikes. By February, you could be shelling out $8.99 for a dozen eggs. That's almost $1 per egg. To make matters even scarier, some stores are already limiting customers to just 2 cartons per purchase. 2 cartons! How long is that supposed to last for a family, especially when those eggs are a staple in your meals? What's worse is the ripple effect this could cause in our daily lives. Bakers, keto enthusiasts, breakfast lovers, everyone is going to feel the pinch. Everything from omelets to pancakes to a simple egg salad sandwich could soon feel like a luxury. If you're panicking like me, here's what you can still do to prepare for what feels like an organic egg apocalypse. Start freezing beaten eggs in ice cube trays. It's a lifesaver for future baking or cooking emergencies. And perhaps it's time to expand your horizons and look into free-range eggs. They offer a near-identical nutritional value to organic eggs, but usually at a fraction of the cost. That is, if free-range options even remain available by the time things escalate. The clock is ticking, and those humble organic eggs you've always taken for granted could vanish sooner than you think. Will you be ready, or will you be scrambling, pun intended? Keep your eyes on those shelves because this egg-citing staple might not make it to March 2025. 4. Hot sauce crisis. I never imagined a day when hot sauce, the fiery lifeblood of my kitchen, would be at risk of vanishing. But here we are, staring down the barrel of an unprecedented hot sauce crisis. The red gold, the beloved sriracha, Tabasco, and Valentina may soon become rare finds on store shelves. Why? A disastrous combination of events is squeezing the life out of the hot sauce supply chain, and frankly, I'm terrified to think about a world without it. Extreme heat waves have ravaged chili pepper harvests in Mexico and California, reducing crop yields by a staggering 34%. Without the precious chilies that give hot sauce its signature kick, manufacturers are being forced to cut back production. Imagine the fields where plump, vibrant peppers once thrived, now wilting under an unforgiving sun. It's not just a drought, it's the very fabric of spice advocacy being torn apart. And as if that wasn't bad enough, a glass bottle shortage is compounding the nightmare. Even if companies could harvest enough chili peppers to meet demand, the containers essential for packaging are in desperately short supply. Picture row after row of factories, sitting eerily quiet, unable to churn out bottles that hold our precious sauces. This isn't a simple inconvenience. It's a full-blown catastrophe for anyone who lives for heat in their meals. What does this mean for us? The immediate future looks bleak. Shortages have already started to grip the aisles of major grocery stores. I've scoured shelves only to be met with empty spaces where my favorite brands used to sit. There's an eerie sense of panic bubbling up, and I'm not ready to give up my spicy staples anytime soon. Here's my advice, and take it seriously because the clock is ticking. Check smaller, lesser-known stores or local markets. They sometimes have stock overlooked by the masses. And don't wait until it's too late. Start stocking up now, but don't hoard. Rumors suggest the crisis could ease in 3-4 months. Will it? I'm not so sure. The point is, I don't want to live in a future where bland food becomes the norm. Protect your hot sauce reserves. It might just save your sanity. 5. Frozen vegetable shortages. It's happening faster than any of us feared. Frozen vegetables are disappearing from grocery store freezers, and it's only going to get worse by March 2025. Severe weather patterns have decimated crucial harvests across the globe. Can you even imagine? 40% of broccoli and cauliflower crops are gone. 60% of green beans? Destroyed. And this isn't some temporary blip. We're staring down the barrel of a full-scale frozen veggie crisis. Our dependable freezer staples will be nothing but ghostly memories if we don't act fast. But that's not the worst of it. Even if some vegetables do make it off the farm, processing facilities are completely overwhelmed. Equipment failures, mandatory upgrades, and production delays mean there's just no way to keep up with demand. The result? Empty freezer aisles and skyrocketing prices. What's left in stores could barely supply the growing panic of shoppers scrambling to secure whatever they can get. I've already seen people hoarding bags of broccoli, eyes wide with desperation like they're stockpiling for the vegetable apocalypse. Honestly, I don't blame them. If you're like me, picturing a future without these frozen lifelines feels downright terrifying. Think of all the meals interrupted, recipes ruined, and nutritious, affordable options ripped away when we need them the most. Sure, you can try to pivot to fresh vegetables for the time being, but those grocery store prices aren't exactly forgiving either. And how long will the fresh supply hold out when frozen ones vanish? It's a horrifying domino effect. Here's what I suggest if you want any chance of staying ahead of this disaster. Go to your local store and start buying what's left, but don't cause panic by hoarding. Grab the stir-fry mixes, snag a couple of those broccoli bags. Think strategically. No one knows how long this situation will last or what chaos could come next. Better yet, start buying fresh vegetables and freezing them at home. It's the only surefire way to maintain a stockpile without succumbing to the madness in those freezer aisles. 6. Baby formula concerns. This one sends chills down my spine. What could be more terrifying than running out of baby formula when the tiniest, most vulnerable members of our families rely on it? With Abbott Nutrition temporarily shutting down its main production facility for upgrades, a massive ripple effect is already underway. Essential specialty formulas like Similac Alimentum and Enfamil Gentilis are on thin ice, and no one can predict how long these shortages will last. For parents of babies with special dietary needs, this is the stuff of nightmares. And it gets worse. Tightened FDA regulations are clamping down on foreign imports of formula, further bottlenecking the supply chain. Suddenly, the reassuring backup of specialized formulas from overseas is vanishing before our eyes. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's a potential crisis that could impact the health and development of countless infants. The shelves are looking emptier every day, and as we creep closer to March 2025, I can't help but feel the pressure mounting. When stores do stock these items, they are being snatched up in seconds, leaving parents in a desperate scramble. Imagine pacing the aisles, frustration mounting as you search shelf after shelf, only to find them barren. Popular retailers like Walmart and Target may seem like obvious go-tos, but you'll likely be met with disappointment. The panic is palpable as parents are being forced to turn to alternative sources, including independent pharmacies and even their pediatrician offices, just to get their hands on a single canister of formula. How long will these options last when the demand keeps skyrocketing? If you're a parent or even planning for a child soon, now is the moment to act. You need to strategize like you're preparing for battle. Keep a close eye on supply patterns. Know which stores are most likely to run out first and react quickly. Stockpile responsibly, but make sure you're not depriving others in need. This shortage isn't just a temporary inconvenience. It feels like a harsh reminder that no essential item, even baby formula, is immune to supply chain turbulence. 7. Premium chocolate shortages. Imagine walking into your favorite grocery store only to find the premium chocolate aisle eerily empty. No decadent 70% cocoa bars, no hint of rich, velvety truffles to indulge your sweet tooth. Sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? Well, brace yourselves because this scenario might become reality sooner than you think. Cocoa bean shortages, exacerbated by the worst supply crisis in 40 years, have sent shockwaves through the chocolate industry. Prices have already skyrocketed by an alarming 137%, and it's only getting worse. This is not just a temporary blip on the radar, it's a full-blown crisis. The root of the problem lies deep in the cocoa fields of West Africa, which produce nearly 2/3 of the world's cocoa. Here, a toxic combination of severe worker shortages and poor crop yields has crippled production. It's a sobering thought that the chocolate we take for granted is being threatened by global challenges far beyond our control. If that weren't enough, major brands like Hershey's are quietly reformulating recipes, reducing cocoa content to stretch their dwindling supplies. Translation? Even the chocolate that does remain might never taste the same again. What's truly haunting is how quickly this shortage is escalating. By the time March 2025 rolls around, premium chocolate may become a luxury item, scarce, expensive, and rationed. Grocery stores could impose strict purchase limits, leaving us scrambling to satisfy our cravings. But the true terror lies in the unknown. If this trend continues, will we one day be telling future generations about the time when chocolate was affordable and abundant? Here's my advice to avoid this impending catastrophe. Stockpile your favorite premium chocolate now, specifically bars with 60% cocoa content or higher. These will be the first to vanish from shelves, and you don't want to be left empty-handed. Additionally, explore your local chocolate scene. Artisanal chocolatiers often source their cocoa directly, and might be your last refuge when big-name brands start disappearing. Act fast, because once the chocolate apocalypse hits, there will be no going back. 8. Greek yogurt supply issues. Brace yourselves, yogurt lovers, because an eerily quiet disruption is creeping into grocery store aisles, and it's set to leave an unsettling void where your favorite Greek yogurt once proudly stood. By the time we hit March 2025, this creamy staple might be nothing more than a ghost of breakfasts past. The perfect storm brewing in the food supply chain has Greek yogurt producers struggling to stay afloat. Rising feed costs are strangling dairy farms. And if that's not enough to make you shudder, there's also a chilling shortage of food-grade plastics disrupting yogurt container production. It's like watching a slow but inevitable descent into chaos. Brands we've come to trust, like Chobani and Fudge, are bearing the brunt of these shortages. And here's the chilling part. The first victim of this crisis? The larger, family-sized 32-ounce containers many of us lean on for meal preps or satisfying large households. Those oversized tubs are expected to vanish without so much as a warning flare. If you think you can simply switch to smaller single-serve containers, don't take solace just yet. This whirlwind of supply issues could soon wipe entire shelves clean, leaving us staring into a barren wasteland of empty dairy coolers. Personally, the idea of waking up one day and not being able to scoop Greek yogurt onto my granola feels like a quiet but horrifying apocalypse in my kitchen routine. But there's no need to just sit and wait for the storm to hit. Here's what you should do, and do fast. First, consider alternatives like Icelandic skyr, which offers similar protein-rich benefits, or even cottage cheese if you're desperate. Second, start stocking those dairy aisles now and stock up while you still can. Greek yogurt can last weeks if properly refrigerated, and it's better to be prepared than left wanting. 9. Breakfast cereal shortages. If you're a cereal lover like me, brace yourself. Things are about to get grim. By March 2025, your favorite crispy, sweet, and comforting breakfast cereals might be nothing more than distant memories. The silent crisis is already here, but few are truly paying attention. Wheat production has plummeted a staggering 34%, and it's not stopping there. Corn and rice crops, the lifelines of countless cereal brands, are hitting brick walls of their own. What that means is simple but terrifying. Those colorful cereal aisles we've all taken for granted are about to become ghost towns. General Mills and Kellogg's, titans of the cereal industry, are already pulling back. Stocks of family-sized boxes of Frosted Flakes and Honey Bunches of Oats are vanishing before our eyes. It's easy to think, oh, I'll just switch to store-brand cereals. But don't get comfortable. Store brands are caught in the same web of crop failures and shrinking supplies. Whether it's your trusted Cheerios, store-brand oat circles, or even niche organic variations, they're all linked to the same strained grain supply chain. Picture this: standing in front of barren shelves, staring at that dismal cardboard sign that reads, "Out of stock indefinitely." Cereal has always been a constant. An easy breakfast for rushed mornings, a quick snack that brings a nostalgic sense of comfort. But what happens when it's gone? I dread the thought of my morning starting without my familiar bowl of cereal. The reality is stark. Crop failures, supply chain disruptions, and declining production have created the perfect storm. And yet people aren't preparing. I urge you to think ahead. Buy what you can, but don't just stockpile recklessly. Store your cereals properly to extend shelf life. It may only last 6-8 months when stored correctly, but that's better than finding yourself empty-handed as cereal boxes become artifacts of a not-too-distant past. This isn't a drill. Salvation might not come in time for our beloved cereals. The countdown is on and we're running out of options. Will you act now, or will you wake up one fine morning staring down an empty shelf wishing you had? Time is ticking. 10. Fresh berry crisis. I never thought I'd see the day when our beloved berries, those small bursts of sweet, juicy goodness, would become an endangered grocery item. But the truth is, if you've got a habit of tossing fresh strawberries or blueberries into your morning oatmeal, you might want to savor those last bites now, because fresh berries as we know them are on the verge of disappearing. It's not just speculation. It's a cold, hard fact backed by devastating numbers. Recent frosts and erratic weather patterns have wiped out 60% of berry crops in California and Florida, the two powerhouses of American berry production. The problem doesn't end at Mother Nature's door either. Rising transportation costs and significant trucking shortages have created a chokehold on supply chains. Even if, by some miracle, a farm yields a decent crop, getting those berries onto store shelves is proving to be nearly impossible. With fewer fresh berries available, prices are going to skyrocket, if you can even find them at all. It's no longer just a luxury to enjoy fresh berries. It's becoming an experience only the wealthiest might afford. When I first heard about this, I immediately thought, what do I do? What do we do? Here's the deal. You'll need to get creative and shift your buying habits if you don't want to sacrifice these flavorful fruits entirely. One of your safest bets is frozen berries. They're often flash frozen right after being harvested, meaning they retain a good chunk of their nutritional value. Plus, they'll stay fresh far longer than whatever's left of the crumbling fresh supply. And for those of you daring to keep that fresh berry tradition alive, start hunting for Chilean or Mexican imports before March 2025 hits. These regions are swooping in to meet the demand, but even they may face limitations in the long run. I'm not trying to scare you. Actually, scratch that, I am. Because if we don't appreciate how climate change, logistics, and agriculture intersect to affect our food supply, fresh berries are just the beginning. What disappears next might be far more devastating. Take note and plan wisely, because the berry crisis is just a chilling hint of what could follow.